Good morning and welcome to the second of two basketball preview podcasts this week as we preview the 2018-19 women's basketball season on Tuesday with head coach Caitlin Vanderhoff. And today we will talk about the men's basketball season, and we will welcome first-year head coach Andrew Wingreen to the podcast for the first time. Good morning, Andrew. Did you have your coffee? Are you coffee?
I had a little bit of coffee. Yep.
Like every day you're a coffee guy?
I'm not a consistent coffee drinker.
Okay. Mrs. Wingreen is a consistent?
She is, yeah. She's an addict.
Oh, okay.
I just drink every
right out with it. Very good. Okay. Okay, I'm a coffee guy every morning. Do you drink coffee, Tyler?
I do drink coffee. I didn't today. I got up late.
So you're going to be like, what, hangry? Or
a little bit,
like when you're hungry? Okay.
Might be a little on edge.
Something to look forward to. Great.
Yeah, we'll see.
So we'll just jump right in. Tyler's doing this thing where he actually goes to class. So he has to leave at 10.
Good job,
so good job, Tyler.
Thank you.
That changes when baseball starts, so don't give him too much credit. Just kidding, Tyler. So you're hired in the spring, this past spring. Started basically right away, phone calls, research, things like that. Got here a couple weeks later, got to know the guys over the summer. The ones who released were local. What was that process like? This is your first head coaching job. We should also mention that too, if people don't know. How did you acclimate yourself to the program? How did you help the guys get to know you? What did you know to get to know the guys? Talk about that, a couple months there where we weren't in session, but you still had a job to do to get to know this program.
Yeah, it was, the process itself, getting hired was, it was pretty long. Like I think from the initial phone conversation I had with Pete, took about 4 weeks, I think, to really get things going. So once we got out here though, and did the interview, happened really fast. Came out, I think, 2 weeks after that. Moved out here pretty close.
I think so.
2 or 3 weeks. And then just spending time with the guys who were local, trying to get to know them, have them over to the house. With Division III, it's a little tough because you can't have a lot of basketball conversations with guys. So we didn't talk a whole lot about that. Didn't do any workouts, but really just tried to open doors of communication with returning players and the new guys who were coming in, trying to keep them focused on what we were trying to do. And I know there was a lot of anticipation and uncertainty with the transition going on. So just really tried to build relationships and get everyone on the same page.
Great. Yeah. Practice then starts October 15th. Basically, they had a lot of open gyms prior to that. It's kind of a weeding out process of guys who were here. And, you're around that, not so much, being a part of it, obviously, because it's open gyms. But since October 15th, how have the 4 weeks gone? Specifically, what you've learned being a first-time head coach and what the team has learned from you, from Coach Jamara, things like that.
Yeah, it's a learning curve for all of us. Like I'm a young head coach. We have young players on our team, so there's just a lot of learning, a lot of growing, a lot of chemistry that needs to be built. I know for me personally, I shared with the guys this last week. It's really easy for coaches to get frustrated early on in the season, just trying to get everyone on the same page, figure out your plays, figure out how we're doing things, personnel, roles, all that. So I told him, I said, it's really easy to be frustrated with that, but at the same time, like, I get frustrated with myself even more, just learning and realizing I don't communicate as well, or I need to figure this out, figure that out. So I think it's been good just for us all to kind of be in that learning and that journey together at the same point, and it kind of makes it a little bit more it builds a lot of trust and respect amongst our program, just kind of being in it together. And I'm trying to get us all on the same page with that. But it's been so much fun. I think we've grown so much since October 15th, and it's going to be a good journey this season.
Awesome. We'll get to the new guys in a second. You mentioned 8 or 9 new guys, 7 returners, 4 who saw regular playing time and or started. How have they led the new players? And you can go on the floor, you can go off the floor, whichever you'd like, or both. What's that process been for them? Because there's a lot of guys and the guys who are returning, some were in a leadership position last year, but most of the returners are new to the leadership role.
Yeah, no doubt. It's, obviously we had the young guys, but these guys they had a great group of seniors and a really solid class who led them on the floor, off the floor. They were the vocal guys who would talk. So we do have good leadership on our team, but they weren't put in that situation a whole lot last season. So Luke Beers and Alex Wood have been really key for us going forward. Just 2 guys who have embraced that leadership role. They want to step into it. They want to be a part of it. So they've done a great job just communicating with the guys, getting them on the same page, and even in practice, just really trying to acclimate themselves to that leadership role. And then Britton Beachy has been a guy who's stepped up in so many ways. Like, I think last year he kind of wanted a little bit more of that, and then this year he's made it very obvious that he wants to be that dude on our team that just steps up and leads. So I've been really happy with Britton just being in situations on the floor, especially with guys struggling to run a set or not seeing certain options, and he'll just pull them aside and really coach them up. And I think that's been a huge growth for him.
That's great. I maybe I told you this, or maybe I told Chris Rich. I got to spend a little time last year with Britton at the NCAA tournament, a couple days down there in Newport News, and I'm not even sure we talked about basketball, but you could just tell when you talk to him that he wants that leadership role, and he's sort of built for that leadership role. And so the things you're saying there, where he just takes guys aside and says, hey, this is what I'm seeing, and it's not any directive so much as just you kind of want to listen to what he has to say. So I'm excited for him, even as a sophomore, just to kind of take that role upon him.
No doubt.
Yeah. Since being your first year here, there's obviously going to be some changes between coaching styles. What kind of identity do you see your team having this year? What kind of identity are you trying to instill with your guys?
Yeah, I think, we talk about this pursue 3 identity, and that, I think for us, that's going to translate on the floor and off the floor. And basically what that means is, God first, others second, ourselves third. And I think on the floor, it's so easy to play within ourselves. Like, you obviously need individuals to step up at times, and you need guys to take over games, but just being able to rely on our teammates and play for our teammates, play a fearless style of basketball, one where we can take risk, and guys know that they're not going to get taken out of a game or get yelled at, but just one that is free, and we play out of love. And I think, that philosophy and just that style is going to be very evident on the floor, and hopefully that will, in all our sets and the way we execute will translate. But we still want to play fast. We want to play exciting style of basketball. So, we have some guys who are athletic and can do some certain things, some shooters. So I think if we run the floor, we'll get some big plays, some big shots, and I think we'll hang our hat on the defensive end, though, this year for sure. That's something I don't think LBC has seen a whole lot of in the last few years. So we have to be a really good defensive team this year, because we don't have that ability to just go outscore people every game as much as we would like to. But I think that's what fans will see when they come out.
Yeah, good.
So we talked a little bit, you mentioned them just a quick second there, about the freshmen or the first-year guys. Who's impressed you during the preseason? What do you think of the overall group, again, on the floor, off the floor?
Yeah, I love our group. I think right now like I said before, we're at a stage where we're figuring each other out, trying to build that chemistry, and we have a lot of really good parts. We have guys who can perform roles, they can do a lot of great stuff, but we're trying to get to that point now where the whole becomes greater than the sum of our parts. And today we're actually going to be talking about roles with the guys and really trying to hone in on specific duties and where we feel like guys can contribute the most. But as far as the new guys go, I would say Jordan Shoebridge has been one who's just stood out in our 2 scrimmages. He comes in with his shooting ability and his IQ. He's still learning how to play the game at a high level, but he works his butt off, and defensively is a dog, and he's just been a kid who's really impressed me and our staff the first few games. Then a few other guys like Isaac Beers has come in, done a great job. He's someone who obviously has been around the program and knows what we're about, and his brother is on the team and his dad's the AD, so he knows what we're about. But he's come in and he'll probably play a lot of minutes for us this season. So him, Joey Parsons on a Monday scrimmage really stepped up, made a lot of big plays, and he struggled a little bit with confidence early on, but he looks like he's starting to get that confidence back. So those 3 guys have kind of stood out to me in our first 2 scrimmages and in practice, but really a lot of guys have been stepping up and doing some big things, so I'm excited to see where they go.
It's great. So there's lots of points per game to replace. I think I figured out like 49 last night. You mentioned that we're going to do a little more defensively, or at least make that a thing where maybe we don't need to make up the 49. We need to make up 30 of the or whatever. And again, you don't have to give away all the trade secrets here, but what are some plans to play either defensively or offensively? Will it matter on the opponent, or are you going to be someone who, let's focus on us and we'll take care of that as it comes at us kind of guy?
Yeah, I think, for right now, still trying to figure things out ourselves, we got to make sure we're doing things the right way, that we're taking care of the basketball, we're disciplined on defense, we're properly executing our stuff. So really right now, while there's still going to be a scout and we're going to know what teams are doing and we'll talk through personnel and tendencies, we're going to be focused on what we do. And I think, like I said, if we can limit possessions and we can really hone in on the defensive side of things, we can limit scoring on the opponent's end, which will help us. But I think just executing and finding ways to put guys in certain situations and taking advantage of matchups, whether it's against a man or a zone, I think that we have the personnel to do that with. It's just a matter now of getting guys to buy into it and really seeing, who kind of steps up in those certain roles.
Yeah, kind of going along with who steps up, and we mentioned earlier you have a pretty young team this year. What do you expect from your younger guys / bench players this year as far as contributing, whatever that looks like?
Yeah, I mean, I think, going forward in the season, if we want to make a run and, at the end of the year, conference tournament, national tournaments, we're going to need to have a deep bench. So that doesn't always mean everyone's going to play a ton of minutes or do what they exactly want to do in a game. But our young guys are going to have to step up in a lot of ways. And I think they know I have that trust in them and have given them that freedom and just to play their game, because we do have a lot of talent. It's just a matter of buying into it. And so it's going to be huge. I'm hoping we'll go about 10, 11 deep, and, some of those minutes may be limited, but they're going to have to step up, perform their role, do their job on the floor. And I think if we can do that, we're going to have a pretty special group this year.
So we're going to jump right into the season. Messiah, Salisbury, Johns Hopkins possibly. Who's the other team in that tournament? DeSales. So you're doing yourself no favors in terms of, hey, we're going to get off to a good start. I mean, that would be great, but you're talking about beating or at least playing well against some of the top teams that have been in the region or around us for the past couple of years.
Sure.
In addition to that, then, let's start conference play. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
So with 3 conference games there, one at the end of November and then first couple of days there in December. What are you looking for of those first few games? A lot of coaches say, I'd like to see where we are after 5 games. Well, we may or may not have that luxury of, hey, let's see where we're at kind of thing. Or is there like a number, or is there like a feeling, or what is it after 5, 6 games, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a number. I do think, though, that we feel really confident that we can compete at a high level. I think regardless of our age, regardless of our experience, that we're a team that needs to go out on the floor and compete against whoever we're playing. Mm-hmm. And we fully know the competition level that we have coming up, and our non-conference schedule is really tough this year. So I think it'll be a great test for our guys just to see, hey, this is where we are, this is where we need to be, because we do have really high expectations and we have a high standard that we're playing to. And that's really what I think our focus is going to be this season, is to play to a standard. There's so many times where, teams are winning games, but they're not playing well. And there's a lot of times when teams will play really well and they'll lose games. But we need to be a team who plays to a standard and does what we do really, really well, and embraces that and fully expects to do that, hold each other accountable to that. And I think if we play to our standard and we play to our potential, that we're going to be right there with every team we play on our schedule this season.
Do you break the schedule up or break the season up? Do you segment it to, whether it's November, December, January, February, or first 10 games, or first semester, Christmas break, whatever it is? Are you one of those teams or one of those coaches, or hey, this is the night we have a game and we have 2 practices before and that's our segment?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we need to have that. We talk about our guys on the floor when we make a mistake or we do something. We talk about next play and winning the next possession. I think the same mindset has to go for our schedule. That, as a coaching staff, we're looking ahead. We're preparing scouts for 2-3 games ahead. Our assistants are on that, preparing. But as far as the mentality goes and our focus goes, it's got to be, hey, this next game is the one that counts, and it's the most important one on our schedule, whether it's a conference game, a rivalry game, whatever it might be. We just need to be focused, and I think that's the trick, is trying to get everyone on that same page. But the goal is to be playing our best basketball by the time the conference tournament rolls around, and hopefully we've done our job to make it to that conference tournament and then, make a run. So that's where we're at.
And speaking about that a little bit, you're learning about the NEAC. We're selected 3rd in the preseason poll. We do play 3 games in the first semester prior to Christmas break at Berks, St. Elizabeth, Gallaudet.
Yeah.
Not having done this before, but knowing that they're on the schedule, what do those 3 games mean? I know you just said, next game, one at a time, but you have to at least acknowledge that there's only 3 conference games first semester and 13 second semester.
Yeah.
Are those games a feeling out, or since they're against teams that are in our division, they kind of mean a lot more than just feeling out, I would assume.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, anytime we're playing, I mean, our conference schedule is very important, and I think that those 3 games are going to be huge for us, and obviously we want to win every conference game we play, and we want to be competing and be a team to reckon with at the end of the year with that. So I think as we go into those games, it does take a little mindset shift. Like, it's no longer, hey, you know, we got to play our best and we got to do this. Yeah, that's all good, but like we got to get wins. Like, I know winning's not everything, and we don't want to make that the priority all the time, but it is important, and we're all here because we're competitive and we want to win. So we got to get our mindset to the place where we can tough those games out and make a statement early on. Because I think, you know, if we can, you know, go 2-1, 3-0 going into second semester, it sets us up for a lot more success going into, you know, our full conference schedule second semester. So those games are very important.
I was just asking because basketball is the only sport where there is that natural break of, you can say, and we don't have much of a break because we play at the end of December, but there's a natural, hey, I was in school, now I'm not for a couple of weeks, and then I'm going to start again. Or even just flipping the calendar or starting a new calendar. So I know that coaches in the past that we've had, or even Caitlin talking today, you have to stare at the NEAC standings for a month before you get to play another one. So we're going to play those 3 games. I think we're down on the 5th with Gallaudet. Yeah. It's not again until mid-January that we get to play another NEAC game to make that record change. So I was just curious the way that looks. I mean, in the past couple of years, it's been something and but I was just curious to see what it would look like. You know, you have to stare at it for a while and how that can affect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't, good or bad, I'm hoping it doesn't affect how we play. I think, you know, just take every game at a time and get the wins on the board.
You talked a little bit about your Pursue 3. I really like that. Thanks for the shirt.
Oh, you're welcome.
Sorry, Tyler.
I'll get you one too, Tyler.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You talked a little bit about it, the Pursue 3. Where did that come from? Was that something that you've practiced for a while? Have the guys bought into it? I assume they have, but talk just a little bit more about that. You kind of mentioned it there at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it's an idea that, you know, in my life personally, it's something I'm working on because I'm a selfish person, I'm a prideful person, and just being able to really prioritize those things is huge. The idea of God first, others second, self third, kind of stole from Indiana Wesleyan, who is an NAI powerhouse. They talk about being I am third, but it's the same idea. And, you know, I've seen, being in the Crossroads League at Bethel last year, got to get to know that staff and see those guys and hear them talk to each other, see them play on the floor. And they've not only had a lot of success on the floor basketball wise, but I think that I am third mentality, or that Pursue 3 mentality that they've had, is just so powerful because they have the best, they see the best for each other. They want to grow in their walk with God. They know that that's most important, but it's a love for teammates. They're playing for each other. It doesn't matter who gets the credit or who has the success as long as the team's winning. And just hearing stories about guys who are, you know, dude, you should be taking my starting spot. There's no reason I should be starting over you, and pushing each other to get better. And so I thought that was really powerful and really wanted to make that part of who we are as a team. And our guys have fully embraced it. I mean, they talk about it. The hardest part is living it out. You know, it's you get on the floor and you can say, yeah, we're going to pursue 3 today, but you know, when you're not getting your shots, or you're not, you know, your teammates taking dumb shots, like, how do we respond to that? So, you know, trying to acclimate that and really make it stick in our hearts and in our minds is going to be the goal over the next few years. And I think, you know, that's one thing I love about having a young team right now, is that we're going to have these guys for 3-4 years. And if we can really embrace this Pursue 3 mentality on and off the floor, I think that's going to set us up for a great culture in the future and really attract the type of student athlete that we want in our program.
So the last one, again, we talked about it the other day, no crystal ball. I don't need your prediction. What are your expectations? I think the LBC men's basketball team is one of our few teams where we always place expectations on ourselves. And, you know, again, winning is not the entire bucket, but this program has. And you knew that from the get-go, and that's what excited you when we started talking to you way back in the spring. What are your expectations? Do you care if other people have expectations for you? Do the guys care if there's other expectations? What are your expectations for the team? You can talk about wins and losses, but when we chat again in, let's say, early January, then we chat again at the end of February, what do you want to say? What do you want to have to say then that you're meeting expectations?
Yeah, no, I have very high expectations, and I think, you know, a lot of times when we talk about expectations, it puts a lot of pressure on us. Like, man, if we don't get 20 wins this season, it was a failure of a season. I don't ever want to have that kind of mentality, but the expectations, as I said before, is the standard of excellence that we talk about is doing things the right way on and off the floor, taking care of business in our turnovers, being strong, doing the little things the right way. And I think as I gauge the season and measure this season that we will have that bar, and I think if we can play up to that standard, I'll be pretty pleased. And the wins and losses will take care of themselves, but I fully believe that those wins or losses are going to be a byproduct of how we handle ourselves, what we do with our habits every day, the mentality we approach everything with. So if we can figure that part out, I'm confident that the season and the wins and losses will take care of itself. And I think by the end of the year that we'll have a pretty successful year taking care of business.
Awesome. Excellent. So as always, Tyler, would you like to introduce the top 5 for today?
Yeah, let's do it. And this was actually your coach's idea, or?
I mean, I threw it out there.
Yeah, you threw it out there. It's a good one. I like it.
Something
I like
unique.
it. It's a little different, but I really like it. So today we have the top 5 quotes that can be from movies, TV shows, famous people, just in general. So, Freeman, you want to start us off?
You want me to go first?
Yeah,
Sure.
go ahead.
Okay. So I did mine based upon how I like the movie, obviously, because I like the quote from it, but also like what it means, like, I don't know, like in my life, like I guess like whether I liked it when I was younger or if it's on, like I'm done for the night. Like, so if any of these movies is on, like I just have to put stuff down because it's over for me. I'm retiring to the chair for the evening. So the first one is from Little Giants. So I liked Little Giants when I was younger, and it's he gives them, they have to play this team. It's the Cowboys, but it's the better team. Have you ever seen Little Giants?
Of course, I've
Okay,
seen
just
Little
making
Giants.
sure. Tyler looked at me like
The
Little
annexation
Giants.
of Puerto
That's-
Rico.
Yeah, so it's this the Little Giants are the team that's no good. For a quick recap of Little Giants, they're little kids, and they had to play the Cowboys, who are really, really good. Like there's the good kids and the bad kid, or not as good kids. So Little Giants, and they lose their best player, but then their coach gets them uniforms that have their names on the back, and they know they're going to lose, or they think they're going to lose. So one guy says, "Thanks for the uniforms. These are so the guys at the morgue can identify the bodies." And it's this little scrawny kid who's like 8, and it's hysterical. Number 4 is Buddy the Elf. What's your favorite color? Only because I like Elf and it's coming up. I read yesterday that Elf was released 15 years ago. That made me feel old.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Yeah, that made me
rough.
feel a little old. So, number 3 is from Dumb and Dumber.
Okay.
It's big gulps, huh? Well, see you later. I enjoyed that. Dumb and Dumber's on. It's over for me.
Big gulps, huh? Well, see you
Yeah,
later.
that's just the best, and it can be used so many times. Number 2 is like I just picked a quote from the movie because the movie was very inspirational to me growing up. It's Mighty Ducks.
Okay.
From the first one, or I guess it's technically in all 3 of them. It's just quack, quack, quack. If you're watching Mighty Ducks 1, 2, or 3, less 3, more 1 and 2,
Mm-hmm.
just I'm in for the night. It's done. So,
Yeah.
and number 1, a little sentimental, a little whatever. Field of Dreams. Have you seen Field of Dreams?
I have, yeah.
That's good.
Yep.
Field of Dreams.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So when he says at the end, "Do you want to have a catch, Dad?" It gets a
tear-jerking.
little misty in the living
Yeah,
room
yeah.
or wherever I'm watching the movie. Mostly because there's dust, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But man,
that one
Yeah.
almost made my list too, actually.
yeah.
It almost made my list.
And then it's not really a quote, but another one where you're like, "Oh boy, I think there's something in my eye." Like when in Rudy, at the end when he makes the sack and his dad picks up his mother in the stand, like it's over for me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
okay, we're done here, and it's just gone. That and then like Cool Runnings has some good ones too, but I couldn't figure out one that I liked from Cool
Yeah,
Runnings. So.
yeah.
I
Those
haven't
are
seen
good.
a new movie in a really long time, just judging by my list.
Yeah, I mean,
I just
a
go
lot
back
of
to
old
the
movies
favorites.
there, a lot of
I
classics.
feel like, yeah, older movies, new movies today. I mean, some of them are good, but they just kind of suck.
I
Older
don't
movies
really
are better.
like the Avengers, so like I'm out on like half the movies right away.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I like the Avengers, but
yeah, just
there's not like a ton
can't
of
do it.
quotes from them,
I can't do
like
it.
inspirational or anything.
Imagine.
like,
Do you want to go next, Tyler?
I can, sure.
Okay.
Okay. Number 5 is going to be from the movie Remember the Titans,
Mm.
and it says left side, strong
Oh,
side.
very good.
Bertier and Julius,
Oh,
and that's kind of like when they come together finally. And then the other one, man, we talk about getting misty when he's in the hospital after the car accident,
Uh-huh.
and he says, "Can't you see this boy? This man's my brother."
Oh, very good.
Man, that gets you every time. Yeah, I was just watching that the other day.
It was
like,
on the other night. I know.
Yeah, man, it's
I haven't
crazy.
seen it in a while. I
Yeah.
had it on for a while.
It was good,
Yeah, it's
stuff.
pretty
Good stuff. Number 4, you miss 100% of the shots that you never take.
Oh, nice.
Wayne Gretzky and Michael Scott.
Nice.
Yes. So
One much more famous than the other.
Yeah.
yeah,
Michael
well,
Scott.
Michael Scott.
Yeah, I know.
obviously. Yeah.
894 goals means nothing.
No,
unless
when
you're
you're
when you're the
comedy
manager
genius,
at Dunder Mifflin and
right.
Scranton.
Yeah,
You know you're a hockey fan too when you know how many goals Wayne Gretzky has
fair.
scored, because I wouldn't have had a clue.
Sorry.
definitely a hockey guy.
Knew he was
for
good,
sure.
but
Yeah.
Yes, pretty good.
Yeah.
A lot of
What
good
is it
years.
like? A crazy stat about him? Like he has all the points just with assists or something.
If
like that,
he
or,
didn't
like-
score a single goal in his career, he'd be the all-time leader in points.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Okay, number 3. Until you start believing in yourself, you ain't gonna have a life. Rocky Balboa.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, big Philly
Figured
guy.
Rocky would come in there and
Yeah.
somewhere on your list.
Number 2. This one was really, really emotional for me. Do you want Philly, Philly? Nick Foles.
Oh wow.
Probably my
Nice.
favorite quote of all time. Just from the Super Bowl. That
You have that tattooed somewhere?
basically won the game. I mean, I don't know. Well,
I'm good,
maybe in the future
Yeah, okay,
sometime.
got it.
I don't know. And then number 1, I bent the rules a little bit.
Oh.
It's a kind of a monologue,
Oh.
but it's so good from Miracle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here I'm gonna give it a shot.
You're
here.
going
okay?
at it.
All right. Yeah. I'm gonna give it a
Please.
shot. Great moments
Mm.
are born from great opportunity, and that's what you have here tonight, boys. That's what we earned here tonight. One game. If we played them 10 times, they might win 9, but not this game. Not tonight.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Something to
Legit
use for
goosebumps.
Tuesday, anyway, Andrew.
Tonight, we skate with them. Tonight, we stay with them and shut them down
Oh.
because we can. Tonight, we are the greatest hockey team in the world. You were born to play hockey, to be hockey players, every one of you, and you were meant to be here tonight. This is your time. Their time is done. It's over. I'm sick and tired of hearing about what a good hockey team the Soviets have. Forget them. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
I don't remember
And
the
then it's
forget 'em
just-
part.
Herb Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, I had to,
edit.
yeah, we had to edit a little bit. Edit a little bit. Yeah. I didn't want to not have a show anymore, so I was a little scared.
We'll have the
But,
show.
but
It'll
hey.
just be a solo effort, but that's fine.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
I like
I need
it.
that. I
That's
need that
good.
payroll.
Herb Brooks. This is now the 3rd hockey reference of the podcast. Things are looking up this Thursday morning.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
That's true.
I like it, and you
Yeah.
can just steal that mostly word for word for
Yeah,
Tuesday.
for
So,
sure. I might.
Yeah, I mean that gets me going every time.
I like it.
Representing the red,
Beat-
red
beat
white,
the
and blue,
Soviets.
baby. Yeah,
Lake Placid. Have you ever been to that rink? Did we talk about this before?
we have, but I have not.
Oh. It's
No.
really small.
Yeah, well, in the movie it is too.
I know.
Yeah.
They're. I think aren't they in the actual one?
I don't know.
I think they are.
Probably.
It's really small. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, you're up.
Yeah, so I got a lot of older movies as well. We'll see if they're
New
appropriate.
movies need to step their
I don't
game
know.
up for sure. Like, there's no movies.
So the
close
first
to these
one,
movies.
Andrew and I have kids. We're not watching any new movies, even if they are good. So.
the first one is, as a coach, talk a lot about communication. So this one kind of stuck with me. Cool Hand Luke. If you've seen Cool, you know who Cool Hand Luke is. Okay, what we have here is a failure to communicate.
Nice.
I think that's just one that always sticks out to me that I enjoy. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Man, you really like these. This is.
Morons. I got morons on my team.
You
I
can
say
use that
a
for
lot,
Tuesday,
too.
probably.
I love it.
So that's a good one. Sandlot.
Oh yeah.
You play ball like a girl. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
perfect.
a good one.
Tyler,
You
this
act like
is-
I've never seen that.
this
movie.
is
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, you know.
My last two are probably my two favorites, but Talladega Nights. Sometimes it's an appropriate one if you watch it on TNT or
Yeah,
something on TV.
You're gonna
But
catch it on TBS.
when Ricky Bobby's driving his dad's car blindfolded and he crashes into the house, he just says, "I'm embarrassed." I really thought I could feel it.
That's a great movie.
that's
That's one
a
of my
good
favorite
one.
movies.
And then being that Thanksgiving's coming up right now, I think Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Nice.
Okay, we got Steve Martin and John Candy, but they have to get the hotel room and they're sleeping in the same bed, and they wake up and it says, "Where's your hand?" Between two pillows. Those aren't pillows. So those are my top 5.
Oh, I like it. I haven't
So-
seen that in a
That's
long
great.
time.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's good stuff.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, Andrew. Tuesday. Do you have any idea what Tuesday's gonna be like?
I think it's gonna be fun. I think we're gonna have a really good atmosphere. Messiah's I don't know if we call that a rivalry game yet, but it's one that I think just the two schools are so similar, so a lot of people come out. From Midnight Madness, Josh Beers is giving away free pretzels,
Yeah.
so you got to get a voucher and then come. But I'm expecting
Yeah.
the stands to be packed. I think it's going to be a fun atmosphere. I think our guys are going to be ready. We're going to be prepared, and we'll go give it our best shot. But I think it'll be a good game.
I think it's gonna be pretty full.
I'm
I was
excited
a little
for it.
nervous when Josh made the announcement yesterday that you also get something if you show
Yeah.
up. So now I think the people who may or may not have stayed home are gonna come for sure. And in addition to, there's nothing else going on, and
People love that Messiah game too.
Yeah, I think it was full for volleyball at Messiah last year, if I recall correctly.
I mean,
so
we travel there, so I'm
Right.
sure they're going to travel here. So
I would imagine it's going to be
it's going to be a good environment.
Yeah,
a little
we're
full,
excited.
so.
We're excited.
Excellent. Well, again, thanks for coming on, Tyler. As always, good job, and we'll be back next week with another podcast. I think we're going to do a little Thanksgiving action, if I don't.
Is that next
if I'm
week?
not mistaken. Well, the next week is the following week is
that break?
Thanksgiving.
Okay, I got my weeks all mixed up now.
I know it's 2 weeks from Thanksgiving, which is really strange. I heard last night that they're going to start the Christmas music next Friday. I'm not ready for that.
No.
I'm ready for basketball,
I
but
mean,
I'm not ready for
I'm
the.
down for like the old time Christmas music, like.
Yeah,
Bing
but they play
Crosby
like a
and stuff,
preview of chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
What
and
is your guys'
it's
philosophy?
60.
What is your philosophy on Christmas music? I mean, is it after Thanksgiving, November?
Yes, I'm gonna say
Halloween? What's
after
the-
Thanksgiving and then the day after Christmas. It's just I'm done with it.
Yeah,
Like-
I think.
Same with snow.
Well, we got two dudes on our team, Brett Beckler and Isaac Beers, who've been listening to Christmas music for a few weeks now. So if you're watching and you see them, maybe just call them out on that, because I don't think that's right. You got to wait a little longer.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
there's too many good Halloween. I don't know whatever your opinion is on Halloween, but like, I think that's the cutoff point. Like if you're really into Christmas, you got to at least wait till Halloween's over.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me.
I think you have to be carving a turkey.
Maybe you
before
guys
you're
can
going all
maybe you
in.
guys can discuss this next week on your
I guess
podcast.
Seems like something we
Possibly.
could discuss. I'm in for that. Jesse will
Top
probably have a
5
pretty good
biggest pet peeves.
yeah, about Christmas music.
too
Yeah.
early.
Anyway, it's still like I don't have a big jacket on yet, so
I hear you.
Christmas music, but it's okay.
The worst is when it's hot, like 50 degrees on Christmas.
I know it is worst. And Thanksgiving's so early this year that there's legitimately more than 4 weeks. It's like 5 weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
Crazy.
This is plenty. All right. Enjoy the rest of your week. Women's basketball on Saturday here at home and on Monday night as well. And then the men are home on Tuesday. Some big news for the podcast. We are on Spotify. Now, you can go and find the podcast on Spotify. You can search for Horse with No Name in podcasts.
We're big time now,
I guess so. And so you can find the podcast not only here on the Chargers Sports Network, but on Spotify as well. And we'll see you next week on the podcast and for basketball Monday and Tuesday next week. And this Saturday as the Chargers host Penn State Schuylkill at 1 o'clock. Actually, I think it's Penn State Brandywine and then Penn State Schuylkill. A lot of branch campuses. Harrisburg's tonight.
Right.
And then Brandywine and Schuylkill for women's basketball coming up.
Too many Penn States out there.
A lot of branch campuses. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next week. Go Chargers, go.